Welcome to Understanding Employer Rules and Policies. In this lesson, you will learn about employment policies and employer rules, why employers set rules and policies, how and when you will learn about them after you are hired, and you will learn the names of some common employer policies and rules. Employer policies are rules and instructions for employers and employees to follow. In other words, these are guidelines about what to do in certain situations, at work and while representing the company. They are often linked to state and federal employment laws. These state and federal laws set rules for employers about things like who can be employed, how old they must be, how many hours they can work, how many breaks they get, and when they must receive overtime pay. Many employer policies are based on federal laws that protect employees from discrimination or harassment. Employers also have policies based on industry standards and laws. Examples of these are following health and safety procedures or rules for making and transporting products. Policies are rules and guidelines you are expected to follow in order to stay safe and stay employed. Not following a policy can get an employer or an employee in trouble legally. It can hurt business and endanger employees or even a customer. You can be fired if you don't follow some policies, even if it is for the first time. Policies are sometimes organized in an employee handbook or a collection of individual documents you will be asked to review when you start working. At the end of this video, you will get a chance to look at an example of an employee handbook for a restaurant. You will answer some questions about what you find in this sample handbook. Employee handbooks may mean a lot of reading, but please take the time to review the policies. If you do something that goes against a policy, this may be recorded in your employee file and may affect a future evaluation. You may receive a reprimand from your supervisor, and for certain policies, you may lose your job without notice. Not knowing a policy is rarely a good excuse for not following one. Employer rules include procedures or ways of doing things. There are rules for how you should report that you are unable to come to work, who you must notify before taking a day off, and how you should dress or what your uniform should look like. Rules should be explained to you on your first day of work by your supervisor or during employee orientation. You may be asked to watch some training videos that explain the employer's policies and procedures. Keep in mind that certain rules may not apply to everyone who works at your company. Sometimes rules that apply to people who work directly with customers don't apply or are not strictly enforced for other employees. There may be different types of rules depending on your position, job duties, or the location where you work. The employer decides how and when to apply the rules. Employer policies and rules may be written in an employee handbook, but sometimes the employer does not create a handbook or a set of written rules. Sometimes employers will have you watch a series of training videos that explain rules and procedures. It is possible you will not be given anything in writing to refer to during or after the videos. Hopefully, an employer or the supervisor she assigns to you will explain the rules. But sometimes that doesn't happen, at least not right away. Remember, employers and their staff are just people like you and me, and they make mistakes like everyone else. They can be very busy and forget to tell new employees all the rules on the first day. Sometimes employees who have worked there for a while don't even agree on all the rules and procedures they were told, and you may hear different versions of the rules depending on who you talk to. But you may still be held responsible for not following a rule the employer has set. even if you were not informed or were given the wrong information by a coworker. That's not fair, but it can happen. That's why it's so important to ask your supervisor about your employer's policies for some of the more common situations you will be learning about in the next few videos. You could say something like, if I would wake up sick one morning and can't come to work, who do I contact and how much advance notice does she need? How would you prefer me to contact this person? By phone call, by text, or an email? You should bring a notebook and pen to work with you to take notes while watching videos or to write down what you're told by your supervisor so you can refer to it later. Writing notes in a notebook is also handy when you're being trained on a new task. Common employer policies and procedures you might need to know at your next job include getting to work on time and being prepared, policies about how often you can miss work, calling off or leaving work early, rules about cell phone use, using social media, policies about harassment, and customer service and employee civility. When it comes to employer policies, remember the word rules. Read them and do them, understand them, learn them, do exactly what they say, the same way every time. Now that you have completed Module 1, please complete the recommended follow-up activity with your YES Career Counselor.